The Locked On Podcast Network presents the College Sports Big 3 in 30. The three biggest stories in college sports. From our local experts at the Locked On Podcast Network. Bringing you the real story. Why it matters, what's next, who wins the big game, and more, all in 30 minutes. The College Sports Big 3 in 30 starts now with the biggest story in college sports.
Well, after all that build-up at the quarterback position, has anything changed for Missouri after Eli Drinkwitz announced that both Bo Pribula and Sam Horn are going to play?
You are Locked On Mizzou, your daily podcast on the Missouri Tigers.
ESPN's Chris Lowe reports Missouri coach Eli Drinkwitz has told the team he plans to play both Bo Pribula and Sam Horn at QB in the opener against Central Arkansas, and Drinkwitz wants the competition to continue from there so he can evaluate both in-game action. So my first reaction here is, has this changed anything? It certainly hasn't changed my thinking very much, because I've been predicting, well, for a few weeks now here, so forgive me if you're an everydayer for saying this for the millionth time, but I'm getting real 2023 vibes here, real deja vu, going back to the last time Sam Horn was seriously involved in a quarterback competition. That was with Brady Cook. I think much like that first game against South Dakota, I'm sticking with my prediction. I think Bo Pribula will get the start, and I think he'll play the second half. And assuming all goes well, I think Sam Horn gets the second half for Mizzou. Again, almost exactly like South Dakota in 2023. And part of that deja vu feeling is that I still have a feeling that Pribula is going to be the starter. Maybe I'm just following too much NFL football over the years. But of course, as NIL creeps into this sport, we get more and more like a semi-pro football. And I'll tell you this, when you follow pro sports, a lot of times you got to follow the money. And if you follow the money, well, I know Sam Horn has not exactly been a pauper here at his time at Missouri, but 7 figures reported for Bo Pribula. That kind of tells me most of what I need to know. I think it's going to take a lot for Horn to beat Pribula out. Having said that, I could totally be wrong. Sam Horn maybe really is right in this thing. And I think actually if that's the case, some people are taking that as a negative sign. I'm going to take it as a positive sign, because the little I've seen from Pribula, the second half he had against Wisconsin, a 3-point comeback victory at Camp Randall, I was really impressed by Pribula, not just with the legs, but hanging in there, waiting for the play to develop in some key moments that led to Nittany Lion touchdowns as well. So the thing is, while Eli Drinkwitz technically obviously has made an official statement here, he's saying both quarterbacks are going to play, I don't know if this tells me anything, because not only based on everything I just laid out, but also, well, 9 times out of 10 in this type of game, you sure better help your backup quarterback gets a little bit of action in this type of game. So to me, once again, this doesn't tell me anything. Even if you had a 4-year returning starter at quarterback, somebody like Chase Daniel, well, Eli Drinkwitz could still technically go, hey, I think both quarterbacks are going to play, and he wouldn't exactly be lying to you. So that's what I'll say. That's what I'll say on there. Anyway, it seems like I'm looking at the comments here quickly. One listener, Tyler, says no one should be surprised by this. It's just like 2 years ago. I bet Pribula starts the game. Another writer comes in here. Another listener says, I think I'm more excited for Zollers next year. Well, I'll say this. I'm excited about Zollers too, but next year, I think that might be a little premature. I think, as I said in my previous episode this morning, actually, I think I wouldn't make too many assumptions that Horn is automatically going to be gone next year. I think most people would have assumed that Horn would have been gone already. So I'm not ready to just shove him out the door immediately. He seems like a guy who is fairly unconventional in his approach to sports. That's just how I'm looking at it. Another listener here, another commenter says, as long as we are successful, I don't care. MIZ. Well, ZOU to that, no question. I don't, for as much as I like being correct in my predictions, and I've been predicting that Sam Horn is, or excuse me, I've been predicting all offseason it's going to be Pope Perbula. As much as I like being right, you know what I like more than that? Missouri being good. So if it is indeed Sam Horn, if I've been wrong this whole time, well, obviously, I hope Sam Horn balls the F out. Good job. I only said F here live on YouTube. Good for me. Chief says he thinks Bo Perbula is going to do well, and I have to agree with him. I feel pretty good about Perbula. And to next year, by the way, hey, if you're excited about Zoller, so am I. I just think 2026, I think that's really the year Missouri could even have a bigger year than this season. I think the whole roster is really strong. I think you've got some questions there maybe on the offensive line, and obviously quarterback. It's less of, I think Missouri has a question mark there. It's just, I think the second year, the more experience you have, I think everything I've seen with my experience following this sport tells me that, well, experience matters tremendously, especially at that quarterback position. So to everybody who's saying they don't care, I could not agree with that more whatsoever.
Most people can't name all their financial accounts or even what they're worth, whether it's a 401k or properties or investments. And when you don't have the full picture, you can end up leaving money on the table. That's why there is Monarch Money. It's an all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, easy-to-use interface on your laptop or your phone. Monarch does the heavy lifting for you. You can link all your accounts in minutes, see clear data visuals, get smart categorization of your spending, and finally feel in control of your money without ever touching a spreadsheet. I linked all my accounts to Monarch and immediately spotted a few subscriptions I wasn't even using. Canceling those all can save you money every month. Don't let financial opportunities slip through the cracks. Use code LOCKEDONNFL at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with code LOCKEDONNFL.
You are Locked On West Virginia, your daily podcast on the West Virginia Mountaineers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Win, though. I need win. I need the NCAA put out a thing pretty much accepting it does nothing for me, guys. I need to know when and where. I've been nose deep trying to read. I just read the 67-page document, and I've got it broken down for everybody. So yeah, I'm to say the very least, I am frustrated. I'm assuming it's on the NCAA's page. Let me see. Oh boy. Okay, here's an NCAA's page. Let's see if they put something out here. I'm not seeing anything from them on X. Somebody tell me something here. Casaza's tweets from 22 minutes ago. I will do that. Mike Casaza. All right. Sorry, guys. I wasn't expecting to get hit with this right away. Okay. The NCAA released a statement on West Virginia judge's decision to extend the eligibility for West Virginia players with the preliminary injunction, including one athlete who is academically ineligible. Okay. This ruling will lead to high school students losing opportunities to compete in college athletics, and it erodes the academic standards that have for decades ensured student athletes obtained education. The NCAA and its member schools are making changes to deliver more benefits to student athletes, but the patchwork of state laws and differing court opinions are why partnering with Congress is essential to provide stability for all college athletes. Yeah, this would seem to be, you're right, guys, an admission of, wow, this is interesting. Obviously, I'm going to have to change the thumbnail and title of this video, and I apologize to everybody. I hadn't seen this. I'll change it as soon as we're done. But I guess let's make it a celebration. We're celebrating now. I didn't know. Thank you guys for letting me know. Obviously, we will restart the stream here at 5 minutes. If you're listening on audio, you're going to have to hear the beginning of this, obviously, but it's a winding road, baby. It's a winding road, and that's okay. I could give Jamori a call, but I don't know if he would pick up. At the end of the day, congratulations, Jamori. This is a big deal. We've got clarity. Everything I was just asking for happened. Forgive me if I don't know everything that's going on all at once. And Dylan, I blame you because you didn't tell me 22 minutes ago. You were giving me other stuff. You were giving me WB sports stuff. It's Dylan's fault in the chat. Everybody go after Dylan. I'm just kidding. Just kidding. It's hard to be one person sometimes. I have help a lot, but sometimes, anyways, let me see. Everything I was going to say. So, okay, here's what we'll do. I'll go through. What I did was I went through and made some notes as to what the judge said, because I wanted to dig a little deeper and see exactly what he disagreed with on the NCAA. I think this is a situation where the NCAA is losing its grip, obviously. It's pretty obvious now, right? And the fact of the matter is, all that conflicting stuff that we were hearing, no longer conflicting. We've got positive information here. And that's great, because I was thinking, in my mind, what I was thinking possibly could have been the next step was the judge would have to further amend his ruling and include the academic part. And I wasn't sure that he would do that, honestly. So let's go ahead and share a screen with you really quick, and I'll show you what I have right here. So I ran this thing through Grok after I read through the 67 pages. And so I asked it to give me every player. So let's see if it did that. If not, I have basically from memory what happened, but it says the judge notes a misspelling of Jamori Robinson's name. That's interesting that that's in there. In the factual background, Robinson attended Dodge Community College in 19 and 20. He then attended Monroe College in 2021 academic year, but did not play the football season as it was canceled due to COVID-19. He then transferred to UTSA in 21 and 22, and then in 22 to 2023, 24, and 2024-2025 academic years. But he was granted a red shirt for 21-22. He played on the football team in 22-23, 23-24, and 24-25. He's now enrolled at West Virginia University. Can you imagine, guys, trying to be the judge and going through all this? I mean, this is insane. Because the judge announced a waiver December 2024 for players whose eligibility who ended due to time at non-NCAA institutions, Robinson withdrew his name from the NFL draft and attempted to join the West Virginia football team, believing the waiver applied to him. Through WVU, he sought but was denied a waiver to play a fourth year at the NCAA institution, which we know happened. He appealed that decision but was denied again. The judge provides a chart summarizing his eligibility, which is all that different stuff we just went on over, and also how the time was strengths to 5 years, the 5-year clock, right? If you're not familiar with the 5-year clock, it's just as soon as you enter college and play football that first year, you got 5 years from that day. That's what is being challenged here. They're saying it's anti-competitive, and it basically prevents some players, because life happens, from figuring this stuff out. It also says the judge concludes Robinson wants to play in the 25-26 season, but has no remaining eligibility under NCAA bylaws due to his time at Dodge City, and a non-NCAA JUCO, counting as 1 year of collegiate competition under the challenged rules. Like the others, he believed the December 2024 waiver applied and withdrew from the NFL draft. In the analysis, the judge groups him with the others, finding a likelihood of success on the merits under the Sherman Act, as the challenged rules, including those affecting his JUCO time, are anti-competitive in the NIL era. The judge finds irreparable harm for him and others, as denial of play opportunity is irreparable, especially with NIL and exposure benefits. The judge concludes the balance of equities and public interest favor him and others, granting the injunction. The judge orders the NCAA to declare him eligible for the 25-26 season at West Virginia and enjoins the enforcement of the rule of restitution against him in West Virginia. That's a big deal. In the conclusion, the judge grants the motion adjoining the 5-year rule as applied to him and ordering immediate eligibility declaration. So basically, guys, at the end of the day, what we had earlier stood through, right? We had Sam Ehrlich on here, right? And there was a lot of people that disagreed with what he had to say. I'm not a lawyer, right? But there was a lot of people who aren't lawyers that were disagreeing with what he had to say at the end of the day, right? So it's fine to disagree with people. I mean, that's what this social media, YouTube, this whole thing, like, it's part of that. But at the end of the day, man, Sam said, listen, I read through the whole 67 pages and I feel like he's going to play. Sam was right from the beginning. Excuse me. And I think the NCAA realized that they had no recourse. And at the end of the day, they just put out a thing because they were just going to have to go to court yet again, right? For the next thing that Jamori, if they decide, and if they, because it's just not good to go against a judge anyway. So I think they realized that they just lost this specific case. To say high school kids aren't going to get to play, I don't know if I agree with that. I would have to see the numbers exactly what they are trying to say. But excuse me. But I think I've got something caught in my throat. I don't know, guys. I apologize for that. So, at the end of the day, I think the NCAA realized that, and they have acted accordingly, as they've just released a statement not even 22 minutes ago, saying exactly that. That it's going to. But I would love to see what they're talking about with high school players. It sounds like they just. Somebody explain to me how high school players are going to be denied opportunities. There's no scholarship limits, right? I don't know. Maybe down the line there'll be a bottleneck somewhere, but I don't see it being that kind of issue because the best players are going to play, and the ones that don't can now go to JUCO and not worry about the 5-year rule, right? Now, if you want to argue that the ages of college players are going to get older, yeah, that's probably going to happen. It's probably going to go eventually. It's going to go from 22 to 24, maybe even 25, but I doubt it. If you can't be discovered in your first 2 years of JUCO, you're either a really late bloomer or you've had some really bad injuries or something like that. But I would say, generally speaking, like if you go to JUCO, you're going to get discovered within probably your first year if you can play. So I don't really buy that it's going to hurt high school players. They may just have to do people already get overlooked. Think about this. These 4 guys here, you'd probably put them all 4, at least 3 of the 4 in the top 10 overall West Virginia players on the team, right? Jamori Robinson's number 1. Ty Edwards is in the top 5 to 8 players. Justin Harrington, if healthy, is in the top 5 to 8 players. And Jeff Weimer, in my opinion, will be a heavy rotation receiver. And had he played the entire camp, maybe would be pushing for a starting job. He's that good. He just caught 75 balls for 1,000 yards last year, I keep telling people. So to sit here and say that players don't already get overlooked anyway would be lie, right? Because all 4 of these guys went to JUCO multiple years. And Jamori Robinson would be in the NFL right now were it not for that. So congratulations. I'm glad that we got good news right as we came on here. I'm very excited. I think this is a game changer for multiple reasons. You get a nickel that can really go, the backup Fred Perry, also Will Davis, and Zay Jennings in the same room. You got 4 nickels that are Power 4 caliber players and 3 that are Power 4 caliber starters. Well, maybe 2. I don't know. I struggle with Will Davis. I need to see a little more, but Will Davis had 1,200 tackles, 12 interceptions, 3 returned for touchdowns. It was in an HBCU. Some people hold that against him. Some people don't. I'm just saying he's got big numbers, and he's probably our 3rd nickel. So, I mean, good luck. Jamori Robinson, and you got Jamori Robinson and Marshawn Oxley. Oh my God! If you haven't been on here on this channel watching these two, Marshawn Oxley, the highlights we watched of him recently, we're going to have in my opinion, we're going to have the best pass rush in all of the Big 12 and maybe one of the best 5 or 10 in college football.
August 26th is officially FanDuel Futures Day, a brand new holiday for football fans who live for bold predictions and preseason hunches. For just 24 hours, FanDuel is giving you deals on NFL season predictions. So whether you're calling your MVP, eyeing a long shot division winner, or ready to crown your Super Bowl champ before week 1 even kicks off, this is your moment. Perhaps you believe the Green Bay Packers are going to win the Super Bowl, or maybe you have some division winner dark horses you'd like to parlay. Visit the FanDuel app today and start planning your futures bet now, because Futures Day is one day and one day only. FanDuel, play your game.
We got one. The Miami Hurricanes have just beaten Florida and Florida State for one of the freakiest athletes in the class of 2027. He's staying home. DeMarcus DeRoche.
You are Locked On Canes, your daily podcast on the Miami Hurricanes.
This newest Miami Hurricanes verbal commit, because this is a player who really excites me. We're joined now by the man we call the recruiting overlord, host of the Portal podcast, host of Locked On Seminoles. Brian Smith is with us. So, Brian, Miami adds a big verbal commitment last night from one of the more interesting players in the class of 2027, DeMarcus DeRoche, who a lot of the recruiting sites have him listed as a wide receiver. He, by the way, is 6'5.5", 210 pounds with an 83.5-inch wingspan. So I see some of the services listing him as a wideout. But when he camped at Miami last month, he was working out at tight end and edge rusher. He's listed as an athlete. I guess I'll start with this. What position do you project DeRoche at in college?
It was interesting watching his film because he played backer, he played edge, he played over the slot, he played wide receiver. They used him everywhere at his last high school. So I don't know. He's just over 200 pounds now, but he's really wiry. Like, he reminds me of, like, the first thing I think of is some of the old school Miami defensive ends, because they took a lot of kids that were like 210 coming out of high school. You had 25, 30 pounds. Like Kenny Holmes, some guys like that. That's what I saw. But tight ends, the other side of the ball, same kind of thing. And he's got hands, like he's got soft hands. So it just depends on how big he gets. But right now, whether it's Miami, myself, or anybody else, it's just a projection. Remember, this young man has not 1, but 2 years left to prep football. Maybe he develops something that you can't disregard as a defensive lineman. Maybe he's just so good at catching the ball. They try to make him a big receiver, but that is a really good athlete no matter where he plays.
Yeah, he's originally from Key West. Now he plays at Cardinal Gibbons in Broward County. So I would imagine that, one of the reasons, and he's a 4-star player now. So recruiting services are starting to figure out that DeRoche is a guy, but I would imagine he was probably a bit of like a late bloomer in terms of the scouting, because I don't know how the scouts, if they get all the way down to Key West very often, Brian.
Yeah, that's a difficult thing. There have been a few guys that have been from Key West. Florida State's got one guy on their roster right now from there, but it's hard for that school literally to even get games scheduled. Nobody wants to travel all the way down there, and so they play a lot of road games, etc. They don't get scouted much. So that kid was probably best to get out of that and go somewhere else where he could play against a lot better competition.
So DeRoche chooses Miami. This is a verbal pledge. It's a long way to go before signing day 2027, but he chooses Miami over Florida State, Florida, NC State, Auburn, and Louisville. Any idea, Brian, Florida and Florida State, how hard were they, and maybe still are, going after DeRoche?
I haven't heard yet. I need to look into that. That's one of the things on my calendar for today. but he was one of the guys when I watched his film, he's what I call a 3 clipper. It's an obvious, anybody can evaluate him. So I assume he'll end up with 30 plus offers, maybe even 40. So in my opinion, this is one of those where the recruitment is just starting and Miami's in the lead. I know that's never what fans want to hear, but still, he's too good. You're going to recruit him, especially with where he's from. So I would imagine that he will be very coveted by everybody in the SEC, ACC, probably some Big Ten schools too.
Yeah, so some more info here on DeMarcus DeRoche, class of 2027. I mentioned 6'5.5", 210 pounds at this moment, long wingspan at 83.5 inches. He plays multiple positions, like Brian mentioned. He's also a multiple sport athlete. In basketball, he averages nearly 10.7 rebounds, a block and a half per year. Miami views him as someone with an elite frame to go with high-level athleticism, can play on either side of the ball in college, whose frame, character, and wanting to stay home made him a must-get for 2027. So sounds to me like which exact side of the ball, which exact position is still up in the air for the newest Miami Hurricanes verbal commit. So looking now, Brian, at this class of 2027, so early, Miami actually has the 3rd rated class in the entire country right now. So Kenton Dobson, who probably will reclassify, is currently the top-rated recruit of class of 2027. The cornerback, 4-star wide receiver Amari Stevens, 4-star safety Jalen Jones. Now DeRoche also joins offensive tackle Zaquan Linton in the class. How you feeling about the foundation so far for 2027? And you notice, Brian, a lot of South Florida talent where they're kind of struggling with that in 2026 right now.
It is bizarre. You and I have talked about this in a multitude of ways, texting, on the phone, on the shows. Like, this is the least amount you're ever going to see Miami recruit South Florida with any success. I don't know what the deal is for 26, but they're trying to make up for it in 27. Maybe it's just better fits. I don't know. But if you're Miami, you're going to feel better about recruiting your own backyard. That just makes sense. So they're, especially the private schools in Broward. We all know that's where it starts. American Heritage, you got to get Chaminade, you got to get STA, Cardinal Gibbons, and all these different programs. There's still Dillard and all those too, but they have to be able to get some of those kids. They can't all go to Florida State, Georgia, etc. if you're Miami. So that's important, but those are all good players they already have in the foundation. So this is how Miami started their dynasty in the late 70s, early 80s. So that's, if I'm a Miami fan, that's what I want to see.